All right, let's get right into it. In the wild, high-stakes world of AI music, a company called Suno is making a legal argument that is so bold, it could literally change the entire game. This is a brand new tune in the whole AI versus copyright battle, and we are going to break it all down.
And that brings us to the absolute core of what we're talking about today. I mean, it sounds impossible, right? How can you create something that sounds exactly like a copyrighted song, but somehow not be illegal? Well, Suno thinks it has the answer, and trust me, the entire music industry is listening very, very closely.
So what's the backstory here? Well, back in June of 2025, a group of independent artists got together and filed a class action lawsuit against Suno. But instead of backing down or settling, Suno is coming out swinging with what could be a truly game-changing argument.
And what's so wild is just how sweeping this claim is. I mean, they're not just talking about one or two songs. In a legal motion they filed in August 2025, they argued that none, not a single one, of the millions of songs made with their tool can legally infringe on a sound recording copyright. That's an incredibly bold, absolute stance to take.
This right here is the heart of their entire defense. What they're saying is their AI isn't like a DJ, grabbing bits and pieces of existing songs and mashing them together. No, they claim it's more like a musician who's listened to a ton of music their whole life and is now creating something totally new, from scratch. And those two words are everything: new sounds.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth can they make a claim that big? To really get their no-sample defense, we have to look at a very specific and, let's be honest, kind of weird part of U.S. copyright law.
This is it. This is the whole shebang. Section 114B. This little bit of law creates a very special, very narrow protection that only applies to sound recordings. It's totally different from the copyright for a book or even for the sheet music of a song. Suno's entire case is built on this one distinction. And here's the crucial takeaway. Under this special rule, you can't just sue someone because they made a song that sounds like yours. To actually break this specific law, you have to prove they physically ripped the actual sound waves, a sample, from your recording and stuck it in their new song. A perfect imitation, believe it or not, isn't enough to infringe on the sound recording copyright. Suno's lawyers have a pretty great analogy for this. They say it's the difference between a collage and a new painting. An infringing copy is the collage. It literally uses cut-up pieces of the original artwork. But what Suno says it's doing is creating a whole new painting. Yeah, it might be in the style of an old master. It might even look almost identical from a distance, but it's made with brand new paint on a fresh canvas. No part of the original was physically touched. But of course, the independent artists suing Suno, folks like Anthony Justice and Fifth Wheel Records, see this in a completely different light. They're not buying that argument at all. Their case really comes down to three key points. First, they're saying Suno trained its AI on their music without ever asking for permission. Second, that this AI can create what they call near-exact replicas of their original work. And third, and this is the big one, these AI copies are direct substitutes for their music, which hurts their ability to actually make a living. And they've got some heavy hitters on their side, too. They're pointing to this report from the U.S. Copyright Office itself. This quote from May 2025 is huge because it shows the top copyright authority in the U.S. is already asking the same question. Is it really fair use to train an AI if the machine just ends up spitting out copies that replace the original art in the marketplace? Now, it's really important that we zoom out for a second. This lawsuit isn't happening in some legal bubble. Suno is basically fighting a war on multiple fronts, and this no-sample defense is just one strategy in a much, much bigger conflict. You can see the pressure has just been building and building. It kicked off with the giant record labels, Universal, Sony, Warner, back in June 2024. Then it went international with a lawsuit in Germany. Then came this indie artist lawsuit. So Suno's motion to dismiss in August 2025 isn't just a defense, it's their latest and maybe their most clever counterattack yet. So why are we focusing so much on this one legal argument in one case? Because the outcome here could set a massive precedent that shapes the entire future of music, AI, and how those two worlds collide. There are really only three ways this can play out. First, the judge agrees with Suno, dismisses the case. That would be a huge victory for AI companies, basically giving them a legal roadmap to create sound-alikes. Second, the judge says, nope, and the lawsuit moves forward. That forces the courts to answer a really tricky question. What does new sound even mean when it comes from a machine trained on old sounds?
And third, no matter who wins, the final ruling is going to reshape the entire market, setting the rules for how AI and music work together for years to come. And all of this leaves us with one last big, kind of mind-bending question. Suno's argument is super technical. It's based on a loophole in copyright law. But it forces all of us to think about something much bigger. When a machine learns from the entire history of human music, who really owns the new songs it dreams up? There's no easy answer, and it's a question we're all going to be wrestling with for a long, long time.